It's me. Black Americans are 14% of the population, but represent over 40% of FBI domestic surveillance targets. What are they so terrified of that they've dedicated a century of resources to watching us? Listen, y'all, this is the question that keeps me up at night, because when you really dig into the numbers, when you follow the money, when you trace the timeline, it becomes crystal clear that this system has been absolutely terrified of Black Americans since day one. And I'm not talking about some paranoid conspiracy theory nonsense. I'm talking about documented, declassified, government-admitted surveillance programs that have been running for over 100 years. Let me break this down for you, because the math alone should make every American furious. We're 14% of the population. 14%, that's like one person out of every 7. But somehow, someway, we require more surveillance resources than groups that outnumber us 4-1. The budget allocations, the technology, the manpower dedicated to monitoring Black communities rivals what some countries spend on their entire defense systems. You want to tell me that makes sense? Here's what really gets me fired up. They've been doing this so long, they've got it down to a science. It started with Marcus Garvey in the 1920s. This man was preaching Black pride, economic independence, self-determination, basic human dignity, and the government said, "Oh, hell no," and created an entire apparatus just to take him down. J. Edgar Hoover, that racist dinosaur, literally built his career on the fear of Black organizing. He said Garvey was the most prominent and dangerous Black leader in America. Dangerous for what? For telling Black people they deserved better? But let's go even further back, because this pattern starts before Garvey. During Reconstruction, they had the Freedmen's Bureau monitoring every move Black folks made. They were tracking who was learning to read, who was buying land, who was starting businesses, who was voting. The moment Black people started exercising basic human rights after slavery, here comes the surveillance state. They documented every church meeting, every political gathering, every attempt at economic development. This wasn't law enforcement. This was systematic intimidation designed to keep people from organizing. Then you had the Red Summer of 1919, and guess what? The government wasn't investigating the white mobs that were lynching Black folks. They were investigating the Black communities that were fighting back. They created files on every Black veteran who came back from World War I and dared to demand the rights they fought for overseas. These were men who had just served their country, and the thanks they got was surveillance, harassment, and violence. But that was just the warm-up act. Then we get to COINTELPRO, and honey, this is where it gets real dark, real fast. From 1956 to 1971 officially, but we all know it never really stopped. The FBI didn't just monitor Black leaders, they actively worked to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize Black organizations and leaders. Those are their words, not mine. They didn't want to just watch us. They wanted to destroy us from the inside out. The psychological warfare aspect of this program was diabolical. They weren't just collecting information, they were creating chaos. They'd send fake letters between civil rights leaders to create beef. They'd plant informants to suggest violent actions that would discredit peaceful movements. They'd spread rumors, create division, turn organizations against each other. They had agents, provocateurs, encouraging illegal activities so they could justify arrests and prosecutions. This is the level of resources, creativity, and sustained effort they put into undermining Black progress. Let me tell you about some of the specific tactics they used, because people need to understand how deep this went. They would forge documents to make it look like civil rights leaders were FBI informants, destroying their credibility within the movement. They'd create fake communist literature and plant it in people's homes during raids. They'd use local police to harass activists' families, getting their children followed to school, their spouses fired from jobs, their credit destroyed, their utilities cut off. And the targets? Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., the Black Panthers, Fred Hampton, Angela Davis, Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown. Every single person who dared to tell Black folks we deserve the same rights, the same opportunities, the same respect as everyone else. They killed Fred Hampton in his sleep at 21 years old. 21! What was he doing that was so threatening? Feeding kids breakfast and teaching self-defense. But somehow that required a coordinated assassination involving the FBI, Chicago Police, and the Cook County State Attorney's Office. The Black Panthers alone had over 700 documented COINTELPRO operations